Welcome back to the channel, everyone. My name is Alexander Howell, and today what I wanted to talk about a little bit was about traveling with kids. Now, you'll see that we have traveled with kids. In fact, the picture that you saw in the thumbnail is actually our drive back from a cenote just south of Merida, Mexico. It was a wonderful experience. Obviously, the kids enjoyed it because they passed out. But talk a little bit about traveling with kids. This is a Father's Day weekend, so for all of you dads out there, happy Father's Day. Have a good one. We're going to get right to it. Let's roll the intro. Okay, so before I get started with just the small version of this where I talk about, advice, ideas, our experiences, things like that, I did want to start off with a story about one of the most important experiences that we had while we were traveling to Merida. Now, for those of you who don't know, my wife and I took our children about a little over a year ago to Merida, Mexico. We stayed in a township on the beach called Guaymatú. And for those of you who don't know, Merida, Mexico is a colonial town inland from the Gulf of Mexico. Had an absolutely wonderful time, fantastic trip, and it really kind of showed us and taught us a lot of different things along the way. But one of the biggest things that I will always remember about that trip is this kind of one-off day where we didn't have any guests with us, so we took our kids on a day trip into Merida proper from the beach. And there's a mall just south of kind of the main highway that circles the entire city. And we stopped at this mall and it was brand new. And you knew that because there were not a ton of shops there and not many that were open, especially at the time that we got there. And no restaurants were available, which was kind of the reason that we went, at least to start. But no matter, we tried to find a fun thing for our kids to do. They actually had this little indoor area. It was kind of like a cave with swings and climbing areas and slides and stuff like that. We thought, let's just let them play for a while, see what opens up, and if nothing does, we'll move on. So my kids play for about 10, 15 minutes on this thing. They're having a great time, and they're the only kids there. And then all of a sudden, there's an influx of other kids there, and you can tell that these kids are from the area. So that means that my kids speak English. They do not, or at least they speak Spanish as their main language. So they're playing, and my youngest is about 2 at the time. Actually, he was about to turn 3. No, he was 2. I'm forgetting my own son's age. That's probably not good. He was 2. Anyway, so these kids come in, and they number 5 or 6, but they all know each other, and they all start playing on this stuff, as you do. Well, my youngest had no idea what was going on. He can't speak to any of them. He has a few words formulated, and that's pretty much it. Outside of that, it's all Paw Patrol and playing on this equipment. My oldest son, however, was coming up on 5 years old, and he had a really good language to start with anyway, and so he was able to communicate very well. Well, he gets on this jungle gym, and all of a sudden, about 5 minutes later, he kind of goes off on his own, and I find him kind of hiding in this little area that he can just kind of hide by himself. And I asked him what was wrong, and he wouldn't communicate with me, which is very out of the ordinary. My son is always very willing to tell you what's going on. And he wouldn't say anything, so I kind of picked him up and grabbed him, and we had a conversation. And in that conversation, what he said is this: those kids don't like me. I don't know why, but those kids don't like me. And it was kind of heartbreaking. And I was like, no, buddy, it's not that they don't like you. They were being very nice. And he was like, well, they won't talk to me. Ah, okay. So in that period of time, what we basically talked about over the next 5 minutes was the difference in languages. The fact that it wasn't that they didn't like him. He spoke English, they spoke Spanish. Now his daycare at the time had taught him a couple of different words, as you do, colors, some names, numbers. Like, he knew a little bit about Spanish, and I kind of explained to him, that's the entire language. They have a different name for hot dog than we do. They have a different name for apple than we do. It's just different, and they don't know how to talk to you. But the one thing that you can do is just be nice. If they want to go first on something, let them go first, smile, show them you appreciate it. You don't have to speak the same language to show kindness. And so it took about 5 minutes, but I got him, kind of off of me and got him brave enough to go back in. And sure enough, he was traveling up the first time, kind of going up this wall to get to a slide. One of the kids held her friends back, let him go first. They smiled at each other. He was completely happy the rest of the time. And I thought, this is exactly why you travel with kids. And this is exactly why you travel as an adult, so that you can learn that not everybody is the same as you, and that's okay. Because even if you go to a school like he does, where it's a fairly diverse school, even if you live in a fairly diverse neighborhood, you're still connected by the English language if you're here. Once you step outside of that, now it's a chance to show that you are a kind person, and that language goes everywhere. So anyway, that is kind of the story that I wanted to lead this off with. I know it took a little bit of time, but I think it's a very important story about traveling with kids, is that it can really help them understand the rest of the world and that all of our people are the same as long as they are kind to each other. And there's a line that I want to quote because I always talk about it on my channel, and that is a line from Mark Twain that I think is one of the best ever. So I'm going to quote that real quick, and I'm going to look over here because that's where I've got it pulled up. But the line is, "Travel is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow-mindedness, and many of our people need it sorely on these accounts. Broad, wholesome, charitable views of men and things cannot be acquired by vegetating in one little corner of the earth all one's lifetime." And I think it's one of the best quotes ever because it's 100% true. If you only know your small part of the earth, then you don't really know what everything else is like, what opportunities there are, what beauty there is, not only in landscape, but in people. And if you start kids traveling young, it could be an absolutely amazing experience. And that way, when they see a problem, they know a different way to solve it rather than just being uncomfortable. So again, my name is Alexander Howell, and we do talk about travel and real estate a lot. And this channel really got taken over because I started talking about that city, about Merida, and our experiences and what we had and just ideas and advice and things of this nature. But travel is absolutely, in my opinion, one of the most important things, not only for kids, but for us. And I thought that this video would be good because it is actually about 2 days before Father's Day in 2021 at time of recording. I'm not sure when this video is going to go live because I have to edit it. But for those of you who are fathers, happy Father's Day. I know that I enjoy being a father of our 2 kids, and it's been awesome. But if you do plan on going to Merida, Mexico, please feel free to visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/travel, the number 2, Merida. So travel to Merida. Actually, Sebastian, my editor, do you mind putting it right here, travel to Merida? And if you just go to facebook.com, join that group. I'd love to have you. It is not catty. It is all about advice, questions, things of this nature. So please feel free to go. Anyway, one of the things I know that a lot of people are really worried about when they travel is actually getting there. The destination can be fun. The destination can be exciting. It can be the best thing ever. I know we literally, when we got to the beach house, we had to put our kids in bed, but the next morning it was go to the beach, swim at the pool, have fun, wear them out, make them take naps, do it all over again. And we did that for a long time. And then getting them in the car to take them places, that was all easy because we do that on a daily basis in Kansas City. Get them in the car, get them here, da-da-da-da-da. But getting to the airport, especially if you're going air travel, can be a little bit intimidating, especially if it's your first time. And international travel is even more complicated. Why? Customs. You're talking about long flights. Sometimes a long flight to a certain destination, and then you get off the plane, and what do? You get to go through customs. That's not including if you have a layover, where you have to get the kids off the plane, get them to the right concourse, get them back on a plane, and everything else. So our experience was going from Kansas City to Houston, from Houston to Merida. Now, the total travel time was about 7.5 hours, but we had to stop in Houston. I think we got delayed a bit on the return home flight, which wasn't near as bad because they were pretty worn out. But the way I kind of look at flying with kids is a little bit different than some may, and that is, this is kind of a vacation starter. And what I mean by that is, I don't look at being on the flight as being at home. Like, we try to put the best food into our kids' bodies that we can. We try to make sure that they get exercise, that they get only a certain amount of screen time, whether it's shows or video games or whatever. We've really tried, and we're not great at it. Let me just say that first. But we've really tried to be good about having a nice balance between screen time and activity time. So that's us. On a plane, all bets are off. I will give my kid every sugary snack in the world if it keeps them quiet and keeps them happy, because I want them to have a fun, positive experience. So the next time they go on a plane, we can either do the same, or as they get older, make it a little bit less, and they're still having fun because they remember that planes are cool, that they're fun, that they had a good time on it. So not trying to compare myself to any parent ever. I'm just going to tell you what we do. And if you like it, great. If you think like, man, that guy does not have any idea how to parent, that's fine too. But basically what we do, we have iPad, video game, we have a DVD player that's portable, and we have it set up to where either my wife or I, or with our 2 kids, because they have to both be in seats now, and they pretty much have the interior seats and they get what they want. And they're not allowed to do it if they're being mean. I'm not saying that we let our kids walk all over us. That will not happen. I'll take them back to the bathroom, we'll have a conversation. But if they're being good, it's treated like the pre-vacation vacation, where it's like, you stay being good, you're gonna get your snacks, you're gonna get your drinks, you're gonna get, if they come by and they want some Sprite, they're gonna get some Sprite. When we do the layover, if they want something crazy off the menu, fine. As long as it's not going to sugar them up and make them completely hyper and a mess, fine. Get them good food, a little treat, get back on the plane, and that kind of thing. The other thing too is the United flight from Houston ends up landing pretty late. Actually, it lands past their bedtime. That was difficult because now they're starting to get tired and hangry and all of those things. So when we go through customs, we were able to kind of have them run around a bit, still be close to us, and if they wanted to watch something or hang out with us, then that was fine. The point is, when you think about travel, it is, at least for somebody like me, I don't travel as much as like my wife does for work, but I do travel quite a bit. Traveling is not intimidating to me anymore. Traveling with kids was terrifying, but the one thing I realized on the trips that we've had with our children is that it is nowhere near as bad as you think it is, as long as, and this is number one, just one, not two, one, plan ahead. Make sure you've got the DVD player. Order it ahead of time. Make sure you've got a DVD or a couple of DVDs. Make sure you load the right programs on the iPad and make sure that they have the things that they are going to be successful with. Because if you start the vacation off in a negative way, it's not going to be fun to kind of recover from that. And especially the plane ride home. What we were doing the whole time back was like, hey, do you remember how fun the plane ride home was? We were there for a month. We talked about it all month. You remember how much fun the plane ride was here? Like, yeah, it's going to be just as fun on the way back. Fantastic. But we went February 2020 to March 2020, and COVID was making itself known then too. So the plane was far emptier on the way home than it was on the way there. So fun tidbit. The other thing too is when you go, I know that you're going to plan on all kinds of different things, different places to see, that kind of thing. I can tell you from personal experience that if you travel to a place like Merida, or if you go to even Colorado, like I did with my oldest son for his birthday a couple of years ago, when it's hot, they go down fast, and so their energy gets zapped. I had to take my son and carry him all over Denver because he was so wiped out from going to the aquarium and to some play area that's right by the aquarium, that by the time we got out of there and had food, he wasn't walking anymore. Like, he walked half a block and was like, Dad, can you carry me? And I'm like, yeah, I don't mind carrying you 5 miles across the city. This would be cool. But it did, because that's what parents do, right? But the activities that he had were really fun, but when we got back from that vacation, I asked him what the most fun thing was. He literally said, eating lunch with you in the hotel room. It's like, took you to a bunch of places and eating lunch was cool. All right, I like it. That's fine with me. But the whole idea was he enjoyed the time with me and his mom when she would get off work, because that's why we went out there, was she had a work event. And I was like, okay, we'll join you out there. That's his birthday anyway. But he enjoyed the time with us. He enjoyed the time around the city. And even though we took him to a bunch of different places, it was the time that mattered most. So if you get to a situation where you're looking at doing 1,000 different things, remember the number one thing is that they're going to enjoy the time with you, even if they get to go see all kinds of different wildlife or animals or beaches or pools or whatever it might be. They want to spend time with you, and don't stress out. Have fun, enjoy. You're with your kid. It's going to be awesome. So that's kind of where this video ends, because there's so many different things and pieces and parts of traveling with kids that are stressful and crazy and that kind of thing. And I'm always happy to give advice. We've obviously done it quite a bit, but at the same time, it's going to be different for every single person. When my son was really, really little, like very few weeks old, we took him down to Miami and stayed down at Margaritaville down there and just kind of chilled out. We had him. We didn't take him outside too much, but we had a little bit of fun time just kind of strolling him around, having our child with us. And it was a really good trip. And he was so little that even if he cried a little bit, he was quiet. Fast forward a little bit past that, we took him down to Cancun. He was a little bit crazier, but still very easy to get along with. And he basically just fell asleep on the beach most of the time. When we had 2 kids and we took them to Merida, it was a little bit more stressful, but we planned ahead, we worked it out, and we made sure that we had all their snacks, all their, games and TVs and stuff like that, so that on the way down, they could have fun. When we got down there, we didn't really do too much. I shouldn't say we really didn't do too much. We didn't do too much that was actively involving screens. Maybe it was a little bit of Paw Patrol in the morning, but after that, it was all pool and beach and traveling to different locations, going to the cenotes, going to interior Merida, going to Progreso and walking that beach. They enjoyed the time, but it was the travel that actually bothered me more than anything else. And I realized at the end of the day, as long as you're not stressing yourself, they're not going to be stressed either. So take a deep breath, relax. Remember, they're having to spend time with you, and that's what makes them happy. So again, for all you dads out there, happy Father's Day on 2021. I don't know, this is actually being recorded the Friday before Father's Day. It probably will go live on Father's Day, but if it doesn't, just know post Father's Day, I hope you had a good one. If it's not Father's Day and you're watching this 6 months from now going, why does he keep talking about this? It's just the live date, but I hope you have a wonderful day. Enjoy your afternoon or evening or night or whatever it is, morning. Enjoy it all. Have a fun day. That's basically what I'm trying to say here. And last but certainly not least, please feel free to like and subscribe to this channel. If you enjoyed this video, hit the little notification bell. That'll let you know anytime I go live, whether it's streaming or one of these videos goes live. Also, feel free to visit me at these social media links. 816-727-7740 sends a direct text to me at Alexander from KC. And of course, my main is my Instagram, but I have it on Twitter and Twitch as well. Also, the Facebook group is facebook.com/travel to Merida. And please feel free to join that group. It's always fun to have conversations like this. And last, if you really like the content that I've created, whether you watch this video or all the videos that I've put out, you can always feel free to join this channel. If you go to my main page, just click Alexander Howell below me, the little purple face that I've got in my current profile picture. Go there, hit join. You can become a traveler or a voyager. That just helps this channel kind of grow and allows me to get you better content every single week. So traveler or voyager, please feel free to do that. Outside of that, everyone have a wonderful day. Happy Father's Day again. And as always, peace.